Okay, so here's how we do selective color using adjustment layers in Photoshop. First thing we do is we need to create an adjustment layer. So we go down here to create new fill or adjustment layers and choose hue saturation. And we can use this to pull out all the color or the saturation. And right now it has a mask on it, which is white, which means the mask is completely closed. It's letting nothing through the mask. In order to get the color to come through, we have to paint on the mask with the opposite of white, which is black. So we choose the paintbrush tool, we go down here to our default color set and switch the foreground color to black. Now we can come in here with a brush and just paint where we want to have color. I'm just going to go over this real quick. And then I can make a smaller brush size using the brackets on the keyboard, or I can go up here and choose a different hardness and pixel size of the brush. Okay, something like that. And then to actually see the mask, what I'm actually painting on there, to see if I've missed some spots, I can option click on the layer mask thumbnail, and I can see that's actually where everywhere I've painted a mask. And you can see it's really rough there. So like right here in between these trees, I actually don't want that to have color. I made a mistake there, so I go back and switch that to white. I'll zoom in a little bit, and I can paint those back to desaturated, and I've got to bleed off the edges a little bit here so I can go back and correct those. And if I wanted to, I could change this back to black and come down here and do the reflections on here too. But I'm not going to. Edit, undo. And so some of the other things I can do with this to touch it up a little bit, make it a little bit neater, is I can go and create another adjustment layer for my levels, and I can increase the blacks, cut down on the whites, maybe adjust the gamma a little bit, make it kind of bright like that, kind of do a screen effect, or I can make it dark, kind of something like that. And I can also adjust the contrast using a curves adjustment layer. Maybe pull up a preset like linear contrast is pretty good, and I can edit this a little bit if I want to, maybe increase it just a little bit more. Right here I'm increasing the contrast in the dark colors, and here in the brighter colors. Okay, and here is a before, and here we add in our hue and saturation, our levels, and our curves. And one other thing you can do is if you want to flip-flop what's in color and what's desaturated, you just click on your layer mask and hit Command-I to invert, and you can see all the mistakes I've made there. That's another way to edit that, so I could go back and change that to white and touch this up a little bit more. And then change it back, Command-I, invert, there you go. Okay, I've got another picture here I can do a similar effect with, but instead of just doing an area with a brush, I can actually do a box with a selection. So say I just want like the rough area of the tennis courts there, so I can click and drag a selection, and then I want to put that on a new layer, so I hit Command J to put that selection on a new layer, and then I want to command click on that layer thumbnail to bring that selection back up, and then I need to fill that with any color but white. So I can go up here and go to edit, fill, and I want to fill it with black. There we go, now it's black. And I also want to put a border on this. So I'm going to I double click on the layer style, I click on stroke, and I want to change this color to be white, and I want its position to be inside so we can see it a little better, and I'm just going to increase the size of it a little bit like that. Now then, this black here doesn't do us much good, so we need to get rid of it, but we do need it to be there, so we just need to not see it. So we come here to our fill slider and turn it down to 0. And you can see here in the layer thumbnail it's still there, but on the actual picture we don't see it. So now we have our border. Now it's time to create our hue and saturation layer mask. And since we had that selected, it automatically punched out our mask for us the exact same size. So if we desaturate that, we now have our contrast between desaturation and saturation, but it's wrong. So we need to flip it around. So what do? We click on the mask and do Command I to invert like that. And now I can, if I want to change the position of that, I just need to highlight both these layers, shift click on both of them so that they're highlighted, and then I can use the move tool, move this around wherever I want it. I can even use the transform tool, Command T, to rotate it maybe, something like that. Hit Enter. And if I want to get really crazy, I can even warp it. This you have to do one layer at a time, so it's a little bit trickier. So if you click on just the layer 1 here that had our black fill in it, and do Command T, and then you click on this icon here to switch between free transform and warp modes. So we want to warp this, and now I can kind of warp the corners, make it look like a piece of paper in the wind, kind of something like that maybe, and hit Enter. But now our color is all wrong, so we need to Command click on that to load the selection that we just changed, that we just warped, and we want to put that on our hue saturation mask. So now we have that selected. We bring up our fill command, we fill it with black, there it is, and then we could invert the selection, select inverse, and we could fill that with white to get the areas outside. Shift F5, fill it with white, and there you have it.